I want to thank you both for your service. I want to thank you, Director Clapper, for your many decades of service to our country. We appreciate it. I wanted to follow up on your written statement where in it, and I think you reiterated it today, that Iran probably views the JCPOA as a means to remove sanctions while preserving some of its nuclear capabilities. And in the second part, you said, as well as the option to eventually expand its nuclear infrastructure. Can you expound on that?
Well, as the period of the agreement plays out, I think we should expect that the Iraqis will want to push the margins on R&D. They've already done work on research and development on centrifuge design. Now they've sustained the position they've taken, and there's one man that makes the decision here as the supreme leader that they're not going to pursue nuclear weapons. But there are many other things they could do in a nuclear context that serves to enhance their technology and their expertise.
Let me ask you, we saw Iran actually have ballistic missile tests on October 10th and November 21st, post-JCPOA, and even pre-receiving the sanctions cash relief that they recently received of billions of dollars. We also know that recently North Korea had a space launch continuing to develop their ICBM program. And I wanted to ask you, first of all, we know that in your statement you've mentioned, and historically, that there has been cooperation between North Korea and Iran on their ballistic missile program. Can you tell us what that cooperation has been? And can we expect that North Korea will sell or share technology with Tehran that could expedite Iran's development of ICBM missiles?
Of late, I have to be mindful of the setting here. There has not been a great deal of interchange between Iraq and Iran, or between North Korea and Iran, on the subject of nuclear or missile capabilities, but there has been in the past. We have been reasonably successful in detecting this, so hopefully we'll, with appropriate vigilance, we'll be able to sustain that.
Let me ask
North Koreans, though, they're interested in cash, and this is one of their
and we now know Iran has more cash, correct?
Well, they do now, but as General Stewart indicated, a lot of the cash, at least in the initial tranche, is encumbered. The Iranians have a lot of obligations to fulfill economically.
Let me follow up on the two. What do you make of the fact that the Iranians did, in fact, post JCPOA, in violation of existing UN resolutions, make 2 launches of ballistic missiles? And I think you were asked about the sanctions that were put in place. Let's just be clear, those sanctions weren't very tough. Do you think that those are going to deter Iran from continuing to develop its ICBM program?
Well, the Iranians have conducted some 140 launches since the original UN Security Council resolution 1929 that was imposed in 2010. And so 70 of those, about half of them, were done during the negotiations, given the fact that the missiles weren't a part of the negotiations. So as far as these 2 launches are concerned, I think this was a deliberate message of defiance, and that the Iranians are going to continue with an aggressive program to develop their missile force.
And as you and I have talked about in the past, just to be clear, we judge that Tehran would choose ballistic missiles as its preferred method of delivering nuclear weapons if it builds them. That is obviously why you would build a ballistic missile if you choose to build a nuclear weapon.
Well, they have hundreds of them that threaten the Mideast, and of course the 2 under development could potentially, given the technology, although the immediate one that's most, I guess, the most proximate that would be launched, the GAM, is built by civilians and is ostensibly for a space launch.
I only have 5 seconds left, but I want to follow up on the heroin question. I believe you said that heroin and fentanyl, which is, of course, 30 to 50 times more powerful, is coming over our southern border, and that has doubled by the Mexican drug cartels going back to 2010. Do you believe that that's something that General Kelly has raised this when he was commander of Southcom, as that delivery system and those cartels could actually deliver almost anything with the sophisticated networks they've established? But do you believe we should be focused also on more interdiction, particularly on the heroin problem at the southern border?
I do, and what the experience, at least what I've observed, and I think General Kelly has said this consistently when he testified, is that it wasn't for lack of intelligence, it was lack of operational capacity to actually react and interdict. And so I'm a big fan of the Coast Guard, and the Coast Guard's done some great things. These new national security cutters are fantastic capability against for drug interdiction purposes.
Thank you.